Welcome, everybody, back to episode number 3 of the Sammy Google Podcast. My name is Jeff Springer, and here I'm with my co-host, Torrey. Torrey, say hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, so we are back, and we are only 5 days away now from the big Galaxy Unpacked launch event on July 10th, where we're going to have the Galaxy Z Fold 6, the Z Flip 6, Galaxy Watch Ultra, 7 Ultra, and the Galaxy Ring and Buds 3 Pro. So we're going to talk about that stuff some today, of course, because we've been talking about it the last few weeks, but that's the big thing going on right now. And then we have some S25 Ultra leaks we're going to get into today. For you guys who are fans of the squared off corners on the S series the last few years, you might be a little disappointed. Some bad news if you haven't been reading the leak sites. We'll talk about that. Samsung might be getting rid of the Tab S10 out of the S10 lineup, like the base model. So they're going to have the Plus and the Ultra only. We'll get into that a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about what I would like to see out of the next few versions of One UI, because people have been asking me kind of what can Samsung do to impress you with One UI 7.0 this year. And then a few other things. But before we get into all the Samsung stuff, Torrey, how was your week?
So far, so good. I'm just loving the summer break. I got to see a few movies. I'm going to go see, A Quiet Place tonight? That'll be a good time. And so far so good. How about you?
Overall, pretty good. Yesterday was the 4th of July. We mainly stayed in because it's so hot here in Phoenix. And actually, Tori and I were just talking about it before the show. We're here in the office, and I got the office set to 71 degrees because I like to keep it cold in the office. And it's struggling to keep up. It's like 76, 77 in here right now as we're recording. We didn't go see fireworks for that reason in person, just because we didn't want to take the kids, especially since we've got a 3-month-old, into the heat and see the fireworks in person. We watched them on TV, basically watched, CNN does all the fireworks around the country and whatever. And then, of course, we did some barbecuing out back. We had some hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that. So what did you do on the 4th?
I was mostly house sitting, so I just kind of stayed in. I think I went to Jack in the Box. That's always a solid choice, and just admire the sounds of the fireworks from afar. And then, I did go to my girlfriend's family, uncle's house, and we just had a cool time by the pool, had some sandwiches, and just kind of relaxed, and I had a bunch of crumble cookies. You can't go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
With crumble cookies.
I've been trying to get myself on a diet. I've actually lost 20 pounds the last 6 weeks. So I'm trying to stay away from the crumble, but my cheat days are on Fridays, and we're recording this on Friday. So I'm thinking about getting a cookie today. I was actually thinking about crumble or where I want to go. Because, cheat day, you got to make the best of your cheat day.
Cookie right now.
Do they?
Yes.
Oh, I have to give it a try.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So that's what we've been up to. Just super hot here in Phoenix. And actually later in the Q&A, someone was asking about the temperature here in Phoenix. So I guess we'll talk more about that. People in Phoenix love to talk about the heat. That's one of our personal favorite things to talk about here is everybody likes to get into what's going on with the heat. Otherwise, though, anything else going on, Torrey, in your life?
Just trying to stay cool. But, I got 2 weeks left of some relaxation. So I'm just going to live it up, mostly indoors with some air conditioning that can hopefully keep up with the heat. But there seems to be some record-breaking numbers that are coming in. So I am really just trying to make sure I stay cool.
That's right, Tori. You go back to teaching in about 2 weeks. Is that right? You go back are you teaching in 2 weeks, or you go back for meetings and stuff?
I go back for meetings and stuff. I have some paid professional opportunities. But I have about another 4 weeks before I have to mingle with the kids. So
all right, that's good. So overall, we're both just trying to survive the Phoenix summer. So sometime in October, we'll be able to get a break from it. People don't realize summer last year until pretty much the end of October.
I think it's going back to November.
Yeah. Finally, around Halloween, it won't be hot anymore.
Yeah. At least the nights won't be hot.
Yeah. The nights won't be hot anymore. And then in December, it'll be nice for 3 months, and then it'll be back to heat.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the launch stuff. I mean, there's been some few things that have come out since we talked last week. Like I said, we spent a lot of time on this the last few weeks, but there are a few new things that came out. One, the Galaxy Z Fold 6 full spec sheet leaked. So usually when we get this close to the launch, all the specs are out there. So here's what's kind of new. There's not a lot, as we've talked about. There's not a lot of reason to jump from the Z Fold 5 to the Z Fold 6. But we do have a brighter screen, so it's going to have 2600 nits up from 1750. We've got a little bit bigger secondary screen, which is 0.1 inches larger. It's a little bit shorter, a little bit wider when folded, and a little bit thinner when folded. It's also thinner when unfolded, and a little bit wider and shorter when unfolded as well, because they changed the aspect ratio. It's 14 grams lighter. That's probably one of the biggest differences because, as I've said before about my Fold, it's a very heavy phone in your pocket. It really does feel like a brick. You've got the improved Armor aluminum frame, which is supposed to improve durability. And then, of course, the displays have different resolutions. The main display is 2160 by 1856. And there's no change in the camera battery capacity or the cover glass. Now, the cover glass is particularly disappointing because a lot of people were thinking, as I had talked about in a couple of my videos on YouTube, that we might see the same cover glass we have on the S24 Ultra, which is the new Gorilla Armor that has the anti-reflective coating. That's not happening. So Samsung's disappointing people on a lot of fronts with this particular device, and supposedly they're going to raise the price as well.
Oh, man.
I know that you're not a huge foldable fan, but do you really see anything on this spec sheet that's going to get people too excited?
What kind of is coming to me would be, or maybe you can go a little bit more into the claims for 1 hour longer LTE internet battery life and 2 hours longer video playback.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I didn't touch on that. So if you look at the official spec sheet, Samsung is claiming an hour longer on LTE using the browser and 2 hours longer if you're just watching videos. I imagine this is probably due to software optimization and also the combination of the newer, more efficient Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor because it has better battery efficiency. This doesn't come from any additional physical battery capacity because it's still 4,400 milliamp hours. But of course, people will appreciate the extra battery life. That's certainly,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they'll definitely appreciate that. But I mean, it's going to come at the, unfortunately, a lot of people who are enthusiasts, they don't really care unless it's the number that goes up on the battery. They're like, I want a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. But I mean, to me, I think software, improvements in battery life and optimizations of the processor are still appreciated, and I don't mind having those kind of improvements. I think the brightness is a pretty big deal because the brightness on the Fold is significantly dimmer than the S24 Ultra. I can tell when I shoot videos. I actually made a couple on the Fold 5 today because I'm making some videos getting ready for the launch to compare things to the Fold 5. I can tell it's a lot dimmer than my S24 Ultra, so that's a pretty nice improvement, but none of these are really things that I would tell people to go out and spend an extra $900 for, because if you have a Fold 5, they're going to give you $1,000 in trade credit like we talked about last week. You're going to have to spend like $900 after tax to upgrade if you trade in your old Fold 5. I don't know that I would tell anybody to spend $900. Now, if you have a Fold 4, there's some camera improvements. There's some nice things that, the Fold 6 might justify it. But if you just care about like the added width, and then, some of these other small things, you're really just going to have to be an enthusiast, which a lot of people listening to our show are. In that case, if it's your hobby, go buy it. I mean, I'm going to buy one too. But if you're like the average foldable user and you're looking for like the super compelling reason to upgrade, I don't know that I see it on this leaked spec sheet right here. The other one I wanted to take a look at, which I actually didn't pull up, but I will go in here and pull it up, is the full list of controls. We were talking about the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro last week. Feels like yesterday because we've been doing the podcast regularly now. We're getting in the habit. But the full controls inside of the Galaxy wearable app leaked for the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. And we were talking a little bit about the Blade lights last week. And so I wanted to tell people, don't be too disappointed because it looks like you're not going to be able to do multicolor. They're not going to have RGB.
What?
So a lot of the renders showed RGB, and I was kind of making fun of that last week about how no one's going to walk around with RGB, lights on their headphones. No one who's like an adult, like in their 30s and 40s, probably not. So it looks like they're just going to probably be white and mainly used to like indicate charging and like volume changes. But it does appear that the stem design kind of operates the same way as the AirPods Pro, which we kind of figured. The stem also looks a lot longer. Someone actually posted images of these on Reddit. Someone actually managed to already buy them in Algeria.
Oh,
Isn't that crazy?
What?
They're actually able to find them in retail. This kind of weird thing happens sometimes. Samsung's not great like controlling their supply chain. They really should work on that. You never hear Apple someone bought the new iPhone 16 2 weeks before it came out. That never happened. So they should really kind of figure that out. But I mean, there's the whole thing. There's some pretty cool features though. There's adaptive noise control. There's some other cool audiophile type features, hearing enhancements for ambient sound volume. There's optimizations using AI. Some of the optimizations you can optimize for spoken word or for music, etc. It looks like there's going to be a lot of rich features with the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. So like I said last week, this might be the most compelling device for me personally, just because this device is going to bring a huge upgrade from the Buds 2 Pro. And as me and Torrey talked about, the old Buds 2 Pro just had terrible touch controls. The old Buds, they're just so bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're always activating those on accident. And so a lot of people are, arguing with me on Twitter about the fact that this is a downgrade because they look like AirPods. And I don't like that they look like AirPods. Mm-hmm. But the stem controls are a better way to control your music. So functionally, they're better. Do I really like copying Apple's design language? Not really. But so that's something we saw. So this is a more in-depth leak of the Buds 3 Pro. We now know for sure that this is indeed the correct design with the stems. The case looks just like the AirPods case as well, which we kind of already knew. All of those things have been confirmed, and we've also got to look at the entire UI, which is basically what we were expecting. Mm-hmm. So are you thinking about upgrading your Buds?
I got to be honest. I think right after we did the podcast last week, I was kind of sitting on it, and I was like, I actually think I may want to upgrade. I know I just got the Buds 2 Pro last year, but like you said again, the touch controls are finicky. It does seem like they are going to expand on the ambient or like the noise control, which is something that I really like. So I am actually kind of really compelled. I mean, I don't know if I'm the target audience that they're probably going for. I don't know. I'm 30. I probably am. But I think I may actually go with this.
Do you use your Buds in the gym to work out often?
Yeah, I do. Every time I go to Planet Fitness, I have them in. I'm always keeping them charged. I love to use them when I am like working on grading and whatnot. Like if I'm at a coffee shop and I kind of want to just blur out all the noise. I like to use the noise.
Yeah, I do hope. I use them also when I'm running, and I hope that because the one thing I did like about the Buds 2 Pro is they stay in the ears really well.
They do.
Sometimes
really
the stem designs don't stay in the ears really well when you're running, and they're pretty comfortable when you're running, and they don't fall out. Because obviously, there's nothing worse than if you're running either outside or, in this case, in the summer, I'm not running outside because it's 120 degrees. I'm running on the treadmill inside the gym. You don't have to fall out because that's super annoying. You have to stop your workout and pick up the Buds.
Especially if it goes under the treadmill.
Exactly. That's a disaster.
People have to
and then, you could get your arm ripped off by the treadmill. No one wants that.
Nobody wants that.
Hopefully they didn't compromise the comfort and also the ability to use these kind of in the gym because the fit was really good. That would be the main thing that I hope was not compromised with this new design. But otherwise, the feature set, the usability, the functionality improvements, look like this could be maybe the most compelling product from Unpacked, even though it's the least expensive product, which is also good, I guess. Like if you're looking for something, you're like, I want to buy something new Samsung-wise. This could be it. And it's also the least expensive, least painful for your wallet. So it might be the way to go to do an upgrade there. Okay, so that's mostly Unpacked. Of course, Torrey and I will be back next week to round up everything that happens at Unpacked. Who knows? Maybe Samsung will unpack a surprise. Probably, pun absolutely intended, but they probably won't because we've already seen all the leaks. But hey, I would love it if they had some amazing thing that no one had leaked and it totally blows my mind. But I doubt it. But otherwise, we'll be back to run down the full event. So probably next week. If you don't want to hear about Unpacked, maybe skip next week's podcast. Yeah. Don't do that. But we're mainly going to talk about everything in the event because surely they'll talk about different features and stuff that haven't been leaked. But I doubt there'll be any hardware that we haven't actually seen. So we'll run down that. But up next, turning our attention to the next launch after this launch, we're always looking ahead. Even this one hasn't happened. We're looking to the next one.
Always.
The Galaxy S25 Ultra, which is likely to launch in January 2025 because Samsung's been sticking with that release schedule. I really wish they would move it back to February because every year I attend CES in Las Vegas and they've scheduled the launch so that it starts reservations start like right when I'm in CES. So I'm doing so much work. I'm like trying to go to CES stuff, and I'm trying to work in my hotel room to like get ready for the launch and get people signed up for reservations and help people get ready for the mystery boxes. So it would be nice if they move back to February, but I don't think they're going to. But we have some really interesting news about the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Our good friend Ice Universe, who Torrey has become very familiar with now because we hear about him every week on the podcast. He is the like foremost Samsung leaker. He tweeted out that the Galaxy S25 Ultra is going to go back to rounded corners. And then a guy named Bennett Berner, who makes Samsung renders over on Twitter, he actually just like, he's an artist. He draws up mock-ups of designs. Whenever one of the leakers says, hey, this is what's going to happen, he makes a mock-up of the design. And so here is his mock-up. I'll show it to you of what the S25 Ultra might look like with rounded corners. So this has caused quite the debate among Samsung enthusiasts over on Twitter and Reddit and other places online because, you know, we had the rounded stuff up to the S21, and then we moved to the squared off corners mainly because Samsung merged the Note line and the S line into the S Ultra lineup, right? That happened with the phone that Torrey currently has, which is the S22 Ultra. That was the first S line phone that also had an S Pen, and they had merged the Note into the S, and so they became one and the same, basically. So now we're potentially moving back to rounded off corners, and the design that Bennett Berner has, which I'll drop a link in the show notes as usual, kind of looks like the love child of the S24 Ultra and the S21 Ultra. It kind of looks like both put together with a new shaped camera module that is no longer circular. It kind of looks like the front of the Galaxy Watch 7 Ultra. It's like a squircle in the cameras on the camera module. And it looks pretty interesting. I definitely think a lot of people like the rounded corners just because it's easier to hold in the hand if you don't have a case. But I like the squared corners mainly because it allows the display to kind of give me more of a slab looking thing for using the S Pen. I kind of like the squared corners for that. And the rounded corners, it makes it a little bit harder for the S Pen to go all the way to the edge just because of the way the screen curves with the glass around the sides as well. Because I imagine that would still probably stay, right, at the end of the day. But I mean, I'm not completely opposed to it. It's not like I would be completely down on it if this were the design. It's not something that's going to, you know, make me not buy the phone. But what do you think? What are your impressions of this design?
So, you know, I didn't have any of the Samsung phones like prior to, you know, getting like the S22 or I had the S21. You know, I like it. And it looks like even in the rendering, there may be a little bit of space for the S Pen. You
see right here, actually, if you look at the bottom right corner, that's actually the S Pen sticking out. See that little thing there? So Bennett Berner is saying that the S Pen will still likely be there. And that's actually one of the questions that some people are asking is, will the S Pen then stay in the S line? And I don't know. I mean, it's early on, but it's very possible. Some people have speculated that we could go back to breaking off the S line and the Note line and having two lines again. If Samsung goes back to the rounded design. Now, is there any reason for that necessarily? No, they could still do the S Pen with the rounded corners on the S Ultra. I personally don't think it would make a lot of sense to go back to the Note lineup because where does that fit in terms of your annual release? Because right now they do the foldables in the summer, and then in January and the winter they release the new S line. Where's the Note lineup going? Because the Note line used to be released in the summer, and the foldables took the place.
So it was a separate thing?
Yeah, they took the place of that. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
You used to have a Galaxy Note and Galaxy S, and they were two different lines. The Note came out in like August or July, and the S line came out in January or February. And they merged with the S22 Ultra. And so, you know, the question is, where would it slot in? Because now the foldables, they took the release place of the previous Note lineup. So those are now being released in July or August. I don't even know where they would release it. So
it doesn't make sense for me, you know, for them to separate them. I mean, because I feel like, and again, I know we said this on the first podcast that they say the S Pen is like a gimmick. Now, I don't want to say it's a gimmick, but I think it is something that really kind of, in my opinion, separates the Galaxy phones from having the iPhone. And so like I wouldn't want for them to separate this like as a consumer. It does seem like, or at least in my opinion, it seems good for them to have the folded stuff going on, but I wouldn't want them to touch the S Pen or put myself in between. Ooh, do I want to buy the S line or the Note line? So I really hope that they keep it.
I think that's the problem too for them, is that they end up cannibalizing one of the lines, because some people will then go back to the Note, and so then the S line doesn't get as much attention. The other thing that was mentioned too, along with this leak, is that Samsung is supposedly getting rid of the S25 Plus. So there'll no longer be an S25, S25 Plus, and S25 Ultra. It'll just be S25 or S25 Ultra. That also makes me think they're definitely not going to get rid of the S Pen on the S25 Ultra, because then what really will get people to upgrade to the S25 Ultra? It'd jumble up their product lineup. So, a lot of people have been talking about this, but my thought, is someone who's been covering Samsung for a while, is that I don't think they're going to go back to a separate Galaxy Note, because one of the problems with the Note is that it had a fan base that was very loyal, but they were smaller than the S line fan base. Mm-hmm. And so Samsung was like, let's just incorporate the S Pen, and then those people will be forced onto the S line. I don't see them investing research and development resources into making the Note line its own deal again. Some of the other features that are supposed to have, be added to the S25 Ultra is that it might get a larger display size, around 6.9 inches. If they reduce the bezels, that's okay, but I really don't want this phone to get any bigger because it's already massive in the pocket.
It is. Right?
It's at the limit.
The whole pocket.
Yeah. It's at the limit of like physical size of what I can fit. Every time someone sees me with it, they're like, "Is that a phone in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?" That's how big this phone is at this point. Like, if you wear any shorts that are not like super baggy, like if you're not super saggy in your shorts, that's how baggy they are, then this phone's going to show like in your pocket when you're carrying it. Mm-hmm. So I don't want it to be any bigger physically. If they reduce the bezels and they still fit more screen real estate in the same physical size, then we're okay with that. But I don't want a bigger phone in terms of overall. I always loved the big phone Samsung put out from the original Note series all the way until now, but I'm almost at the limit of what I can put in my pocket. What do you think, Torrey?
No, same. I mean, even with I'm wearing Nike shorts, and as soon as I put it in, like at least like a little bit of the corner kind of like sticks out from the pocket, right? And so far, like, it took me a while to get used to it, but I do love the size and my hand, the way my hand kind of goes around the phone. I really feel like I can reach most things, and so I wouldn't want it to be any longer. At least, again, kind of like what we talked about on the first podcast, just making it accessible and something that, at least to me as a consumer, I can easily store, right? I don't have like a purse or anything, and I don't want to put my phone in my backpack, all the time.
Right. It's like a catch-22. I mean, because women, they might be okay with the bigger phone if it wasn't for the fact that they also have smaller hands than we do. So they can put it in their purse, but they can't use it one-handed if it's like 7 inches, because most of them have smaller hands. So women are not going to want that either, even though they do have a purse. We don't have a purse, so it's tough in their pocket.
Yeah.
But they also have smaller hands, so when they take it out of their purse, they're not going to want to use it if it's a 7-inch phone, because then it's basically a tablet. So then that's also where it's like, then you're kind of cannibalizing the foldable sales, because that's the whole point of having the fold, is if you want that small tablet, right, in your pocket or in your purse, is to buy the fold. So I hope they don't increase the size. I definitely hope we get new cameras. I'm okay with this rounded off corners. It's not a problem for me. I imagine we're going to get more AI features. I'd like to see a bigger battery. I personally would be okay if they made the phone a little bit thicker. If I got a bigger battery with better battery life. What do you think?
I would be okay with that, because
it's thin.
I mean, practically currently, like, this is nice, but yeah, if they had to make it a little bit thicker, I'll be okay with that. Because I think a lot of things too, so many apps and stuff just like runs down the battery life throughout the day, and like I'm just not in certain positions throughout the day. I'm pretty sure other active people are probably in this situation, but like, when will I get to charge my phone?
Exactly. Yeah.
So if I could have a longer battery life, and I think that's what average consumers kind of look at too, is like, well, how long is the battery?
Me too, for sure. I mean, even the enthusiasts who watch my channel at the time, I've never heard anyone say, "Oh man, I really think the S24 or S23 or S22 Ultra is way too thick. It's so thick." But I do hear people saying all the time, like, "Oh, my battery runs out at 5 p.m.
Yeah, it does.
when I'm on my drive home, and that's frustrating. I use wireless Android Auto in my car, at least in my Audi, and that kills the battery. I love it because I don't have to plug it in every time. I couldn't wait to get wireless Android Auto when I finally upgraded my Audi and they had the one that I bought had wireless Android Auto. I was like, I'm never going to plug it in again. But some days I'm like, well, I'm going to use wired Android Auto because it's going to drain from my office back to my house in Peoria. I live in a suburb of Phoenix. It's like a 35-minute drive, and it'll take like 17% of my battery life just wireless Android Auto. So if you don't have, a chance to charge, then, that will absolutely destroy your battery life. So that's a tip. If you guys have wireless Android Auto and you're wondering like, hey, why is my battery life so bad?
That's why.
That's the reason. That's why I use wired Android Auto sometimes, because it's just, more feasible to keep my battery life up. Okay, so that's the S25 Ultra. Very interesting there. It's our real first kind of leak about the S25 Ultra. Not very much has come out about it until now. This is usually the time we get more information about that phone 6 months before the event. Stuff starts trickling out, and then eventually, just like the foldables, like a month or two before, the floodgates will open and everything will leak, all of the device details, the renders. We'll know everything about it. But for the next few months, we're going to get little tidbits and pieces of what's going to be coming, and we'll kind of talk about those as they come along. But there should be some bigger stuff coming when we get closer to the winter. Another thing that was mentioned this week is that the Tab S10 base model. This is something we can just talk about for a second. But we talked about tablets last week, and something new came out. It appears that Samsung is going to remove the Galaxy Tab S10 base model from their lineup. Presumably, this will release alongside the Galaxy S25 Ultra at January Unpacked next year. This is a very strange rumor to me, even though it was mentioned by a couple of different credible sources. I still am kind of skeptical as to why Samsung would do this, because the Tab S10 is like the 10-inch version of their tablet, the base model. And that's the most easy one to use one-handed, if you want to use it for reading and stuff. Mm-hmm. Their other two tablets are huge. They're 12.4, and then we talked about the Tab Ultra before, 14.6 inches.
But no, that's a laptop.
Yeah, you can't even carry that around and use it for media consumption. You certainly can't use it for reading.
No.
One time when I was at GCU lecturing this last semester, I had forgotten, I used my iPad as my smaller tablet. I had my Tab S9 Ultra, was the only thing I had. I used it for lecture notes, and the students were like, what are you doing? And they're like, what is that monstrosity? They thought I had my full laptop, and somehow I converted it into a tablet, and I was using it as my lecture notes, walking around the classroom with this massive thing. Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, the S10 Ultra, S9 Ultra, they have their place. But isn't it strange that they would get rid of the Tab S10? Because you use that for reading. Isn't that what most people want a tablet for, is reading and consumption?
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. To me, if I were to ever get a Galaxy Tab, and I feel like the most consumers are looking for something that is portable, something that is nice to hold, especially if you are doing reading. No one really wants big tablets because, again, you're just looking for something portable. Maybe it's something that you do on an average daily, or maybe if you're taking a trip somewhere and if it's for yourself or for kids, but you want something small. You don't really want something big. I mean, I feel like that's what people would turn to their laptops.
That's actually the opposite of what she said.
Oh, what the? Fair enough.
But now that Torrey said that people don't want big tablets, someone's going to write us or message us on one of the socials and say, I like big tablets and I cannot lie. That's what they're going to tell us. So they're going to be a little upset that we said that. So not everybody, we're not speaking for everybody, but most people use tablets for reading, consuming media. And unless you have it on your desk all day, which is what I actually have the S9 Ultra, it sits on my desk and I use it for videos, YouTube videos, when I'm doing research, watching other videos that I want to use to research a topic. I don't move it. It's not something I throw in my bag. I have my 10-inch or my 11-inch now iPad Pro. That goes in my bag because it's light.
Yeah. Something light. And
that 14.6-inch Tab S9 Ultra is twice as heavy.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to carry that in my backpack. So this is a very strange rumor to me. Could it be true? I mean, I guess so. But Samsung is completely, I think, destroying themselves in the tablet space. Maybe their plan is I don't know if you know, but Samsung makes a budget version of their devices called the FE devices. So they have a Galaxy S24 FE. It stands for Fan Edition.
No, I never heard of that.
Which is really weird because it's Anyway, it started with the Note 7. You remember when the Note 7 was blowing up? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. After that, they released a version called the Note 7 Fan Edition. So they could sell it to people who wanted the Note 7, but they improved the battery so it wouldn't blow up because, people generally don't like it when their phones blow up.
Yeah.
I'd just say that's pretty reasonable to not want your phone to blow up. And then after that, they started doing it like as their slightly mid-range version. Mm-hmm. So maybe they're planning on making the FE tablet line the one that has the base model.
Okay.
I actually have a Tab S9 FE in there as well because I reviewed that. And it's a pretty nice tablet, but it's missing some of the features like the premium display from the proper Tab S9. Mm-hmm. So I still wouldn't like that. I think that they should keep the Tab S10. So, I'm sure the CEO of Samsung is listening to this. Just go ahead and don't do that. It's a mistake. People don't want to buy only massive tablets. And also you're ruining your chance to compete with Apple because that entry-level size is basically what their most popular tablet is. And so if anything, I would say people might like a Tab S10 mini. People love the iPad mini. Mm-hmm. That's actually one of my favorite devices too for reading. I keep it at home and I read all my ebooks on my iPad mini. So Samsung should release a Tab S10 mini. There's an idea. Free ideas. The Samsung machine, the Samsung upper brass, they could just listen to the Sammy Google Podcast and we will give you free product ideas. Yep. You don't even have to pay me because you guys already, help me make a lot of money by letting me cover your content, your products. I won't even charge you for the ideas. Just make some good products that I can review and talk about and we'll be even. Okay, so moving on a little bit to software. People were asking me last week about what I would like to see happen with the next version of One UI. I'm not going to talk about 6.1.1 because that's already set. Like nothing's going to change with that. But I am going to talk a little bit about One UI 7.0, and I think that's what people were mainly talking about anyway, is what would I like to see happen with One UI 7.0? And I've said this for the last few years, and it's actually going to be a good segue because the app of the week this week is a Good Lock app. And so what I would really like to see happen with One UI 7.0 is a lot of the Good Lock applications. I would like to see the functionality built into the main settings. And that actually goes, I've said this for years, but it goes perfectly along with something Torrey told me when I asked him to install Multistar and look at it for the app of the week. Because like we said before, Torrey is not he doesn't use all of these crazy Good Lock extensions and stuff that I cover. He never knew that Good Lock was available, for one thing, but even a layer back from that, and I think this is an important thing that I actually talked about a little bit in the newsletter this week, is a lot of Samsung users don't even realize that the Galaxy Store exists at all. They only know the Play Store. Yep. Like the Google Play Store is that's where I get my apps. And so I told Torrey, I'm like, you got to install Multistar, but first you need to install Good Lock, but you got to get it from the Galaxy Store. And he's like, well, I've never heard of Multistar. I've never heard of Good Lock. And I've never heard of the Galaxy Store. And I was like, and that resonated with me because I was like, I've been saying for a long time, they should build a lot of the Good Lock features into the stock One UI settings because the average user is never going to know that these features exist. Because if you're an average user and you don't watch my YouTube videos or another creator who makes Samsung software videos or you follow the blogs, how would you know that Good Lock stuff is out there? A lot of people, when they watch my tutorials, when a new device releases and they see some of the Good Lock stuff, they're like, that's so amazing. I've used Samsung for 10 years and I never knew that I could change my keyboard effects, or I never knew I could change my unlock animation. And I'm like, Samsung has a lot of amazing features they could market. Why don't they just build them into the stock settings? So that's my first feature I'd really like to see, is I'd like to see some more awareness about Good Lock through building it into the One UI proper settings, because there's so much cool stuff in Good Lock. Multistar we're going to talk about today, which actually really helps you enhance your multitasking on your Galaxy phone. And I think multitasking is a huge reason why a lot of us use Galaxy phones. You can't really get it anywhere else. That's the one thing, iPhones don't have multitasking. You can't do pop-up view. You can't do multi-window views easily on your iPhone. The iPad barely even has multitasking. With those massive screens, they don't even have multitasking on their tablet. That's another thing I use the Tab S9 Ultra for, is when it's on my desk, I can open up a bunch of windows in pop-up view. I can't do that on the iPad. So Samsung has some cool marketable features. They should build them in to the stock settings. I'd love to see that. What do you think, Torrey? Am I on there? Do you know other people you said most people use iPhones, but do you imagine most people probably have no idea that the Galaxy Store
not at all. I think I typed in like Play Store looking one time, and there's this icon that says store that pops up, but it doesn't even say Galaxy Store. So I think I even tried to delete it at one point in time because I was like, "What is this?" I just know of the Google Play Store. So I'm right there with you, like, because I feel like if you're coming from an iPhone to a Samsung and you get a Samsung phone and you get blasted with all this like Google Connect here, Google. Like I was always under the impression that, okay, like this is like a Google phone, because everything's so compatible. So I don't even think to look at the Samsung tab, like when you go to pull up your apps. Like, so like I really didn't even explore that area until I got into like the wearables. So I feel like Samsung either one, they need to shed more light on their Samsung apps so that way average users can know a lot about all the things that they can do on their phones, or just put it into the phone, into the natural settings.
I agree. And another thing that goes along with that I want to mention, Samsung is actually finally going to put Good Lock on the Play Store because I think they know this. Okay. They know that people can't find the... So they're taking a step in the right direction. Yeah. They did this a couple months ago. They released it in beta, but you have to get in on the beta early because it actually filled up. So they're moving Good Lock to the Play Store as well as the Galaxy Store, which will help. But still, some people are not going to know it's there because it's not kind of, in your face. Like if it's in the stock settings, you're going to see it. Like you're going to scroll through the settings. You're going to be like, oh, Good Lock, what's that? And then it'll could have a pop-up and walk you through some of the features, just like some of the other advanced Samsung features. That would be the way to do it because then people would realize kind of what's there. The other thing I'd really like to see in One UI 7.0 in terms of features is I would like to see some more, I know people probably, we talked about AI last week as a buzzword. I'd like to see some more use of AI in terms of optimizing things like battery life. I know Samsung already does some of that, but I think there's probably more that they could do there to improve battery life experience, since we're probably not going to get a 6,000 milliamp hour battery in the S25 Ultra, which, as we talked about, we wouldn't mind due to the thickness. But it would be nice to see some battery improvements from AI because that would be a big sort of feature to see there. I would kind of like to see a redesign of Samsung's quick settings. They did it last year in One UI 6.0. The quick settings when you pull down your icons. Apple redesigned these in iOS 18 so you can basically change not only the icons, but also the shapes of the different tiles. Okay, so you can change all the icons on your Samsung. I'm kind of showing Torrey up here. You hit the edit button, and then up here you can change. Once you hit the edit button, you can change like what icons appear up there.
No, that'd be cool.
And that's cool. But Apple made it so you can actually change the layout. So you can actually change the way everything looks there. You can change these tiles, the size of them, their shape. This is one of the few times where Apple has been ahead of Samsung with the customization thing, and so that's fairly disappointing. I hate when Apple does anything that's ahead of Samsung for customization. I think that'd be really great to see if they could add some additional customization to the quick settings. That'd be great. The other thing is icon packs. I use icon packs a lot. This is kind of overlapping with the thing I said about putting Good Lock into the UI. I install custom icon packs. You've probably seen mine. I've got these black icons. Aries Black. It's from my friend Vuk, who we talked about last week, who also made Thematica, the app we reviewed last week. He makes this icon pack. I love to install custom icon packs, but you can't do it in the default One UI launcher. So I think it'd be nice if they built in some functionality to make it easy to install custom icon packs. I do think that, Theme Park already does this in Good Lock, so they could just build Theme Park into the stock settings, and that would solve the problem. But that's another thing I'd really like to see. What about you, Torrey? Do you have any gripes with One UI as a casual user that you would like to see Samsung improve? Is there any things that you really feel like, any layouts in the UI, any gripes with the overall fluidity, or any places you would like them to reorganize things?
Honestly, right off the bat, no. I've always been very happy with the presentation that I get, even when I'm just opening the phone, or even like when I just first got the phone. Everything just feels very user friendly. And, I never really delved too much into, I'm a very vanilla guy. I never really delved too much into the customization. But as I start to watch more and more of your videos and I'm learning new things and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that. And so I think it would just probably be a little bit more openness, or maybe I just need to continue to watch your videos. That's why everyone should be watching Jeff's videos to get more into that customization and getting into more of those deep features.
Maybe we'll have to do like one video. Maybe I can get Torrey to do a video where we like do like, I don't know, it's an old show, so we're kind of dating myself here, but do you ever see that show Pimp My Ride?
Oh yeah.
Remember that show on MTV? You to like pimp my phone with Torrey, and we'll just like Torrey can tell me what kind of themes and stuff he wants, and we'll like use Good Lock and different wallpaper apps, and we'll customize his icons and everything to his specifications. Like we'll do a video with that. That could be a fun video, and we could actually talk about that experience a little more on the podcast, and that'll also give Torrey a chance to experience more of the customization side, and then maybe he can write a little bit about kind of what he learned. Maybe on a website article. I think that'd be fun if you're up for it, Torrey.
Yeah,
we can do definitely. That for sure.
Yeah, I think that'll bring a lot of light to casual people too. Because I often see a lot in your comments of videos. People are asking for these other customization questions that they see that are on your phone, and so I think that may help a little bit too.
Do you feel like your phone has any lag? Because this is a question people get. Ask me a lot too. You're talking about questions in the comments. I get questions all the time about does my phone lag over time? And to be honest with you, this is a question I can't answer because I upgrade my phone like all the time. Mm-hmm. So my phone is never old. So I can't tell you like how does the phone work 3 years from now? But you've had the S22 Ultra for 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like it's slower or slowed down a lot? Or
I don't really feel like that is slowed. I think some of my gripes I think happened, and now that you actually kind of brought up the wireless Android play is like my phone sometimes just kind of like lags in that department. Like it will like connect, or maybe it won't connect, or maybe it just won't register. So I have issues like that sometimes.
You're talking about Android Auto? Mm-hmm. I think that's because Samsung and Google have like an optimization problem with that. Mm-hmm. That seems to be like a big problem among all cars too. Like what kind of car do you have? I forgot.
2025 Camry.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So you have the Camry. I have the Audi. I know some people have had some other cars, and it seems like Android Auto and Samsung, they don't get along as good as like the Pixel. Well, that makes sense because Google makes the Pixel and they also make Android Auto. Yeah. So, of course, it's not like there's a mystery about why. But Samsung and Google are supposed to be partners that work together. They really should get together and fix that because Samsung is by far the majority of Android phones. So they're still very important to Google, even though Google, of course, cares about making their Pixels great because they want to sell Pixels too. Sure. But of course, Android Auto has long time problems with Samsung phones. I hope they will fix that at some point. Yeah. That's mostly my wish list for 7.0. Of course, optimizations for battery life. I know people are going to say, why didn't you ask about animations? Well, why don't you want better animations? We talked about this a few weeks ago. I don't care that much, and I don't think they're that bad. That's always like the number one thing when I make a video about wish list for the next version of One UI. People are like, we need smoother animations. And I'm like, I don't really need it. It's if you give me better battery life and you improve some of the usability aspects of the phone and add some more customization, I'm pretty okay with the current animations. Of course, if they get smoother and better, I'm not going to be upset. Oh. But it's not like if they get smoother, I'm going to be like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. I might make a video about it. It could get a lot of views because people obviously care. Yeah, obviously. But I personally am not going to be like, it's not going to be the greatest day of my life if they make the animation smoother or faster. Okay, next thing software-wise we talk about is Samsung keyboard versus Gboard. And so this is an interesting one because Torrey and I were talking before the show. Torrey thought he was using Gboard, but he's actually using Samsung keyboard. So this goes back to an interesting thing that keeps coming up, as you guys can see. And this is what I really love about having Torrey as my co-host, is that you get to see like from the casual user perspective, not the enthusiast perspective, how do they view a lot of these things on Samsung phones? And something Torrey said holds true here too. He thinks kind of that everything is Google because when you sign into your Android phone, it's all Google, Google, Google. Yeah, all Google. Your apps are Google because they make Android. And so you don't really necessarily think that anything as you're using in terms of apps is necessarily made by Samsung because they don't push that in your face when you first set up the phone. And so Torrey's using Samsung keyboard. First of all, get your thoughts. What do you think about Samsung keyboard as a whole? Do you have any issues using Samsung keyboard? Do you find it easy to use, easy to type?
Now, I love it. I find it easy to type, especially like, when I'm like laying down and I'm trying to like balance my phone and type. The only thing I would say, and I'm just kind of pulling up my keyboard thing here, is that sometimes like I'll hit either like the voice icon in the bottom left-hand corner or something like that, and then it'll kind of take me out because then it'll kind of ask for like permission and stuff, and I'm like, no, I want to get back to typing.
And that's something I can fix for you, Torrey, because if you go into Keys Cafe in Good Lock, you can remove icons from the keyboard like that, like the microphone.
Goodness.
So we can fix that for you.
Oh, excellent.
So see, this is the great thing. You get to learn some different features. So you can remove them, but you find that the overall typing experience is pretty good. You feel like it's accurate. You feel like it's pretty accurate overall.
Oh yeah, and I feel like there was an upgrade just recently because I feel like the top ribbon changed a little bit because I used to be able to get a quicker access to like GIFs and stuff, or even like my emojis. I just have to take like a little different route, but everything seems very accessible now. I know. Even like yesterday, my girlfriend was trying to type on my phone, and she's obviously a very heavy iPhone user. They always say that they just really can't type on the Samsung, just not a smooth conversion over in terms of layout. But I don't know. I find it very easy to use.
I think the problem is that potentially, and I brought up this Reddit post because this is actually kind of what inspired my discussion. Well, a lot of people ask me about this a lot, but this is one that I had seen a few months ago. And someone was complaining about Samsung keyboard being bad. And I think the problem is that Gboard and also the iPhone keyboard, they basically autocorrect like everything. So like if you just don't even put any effort into spelling, they do a decent job at autocorrect. But Samsung keyboard doesn't do that because sometimes you want to write slang and stuff. I don't want it to autocorrect everything for me.
Yeah.
And if you get used to typing the layout, you can customize the layout, like I said, a lot inside not only the stock settings, but further with Keys Cafe and Good Lock. If you customize those, you customize like your swipe gestures. You can do swipe gestures, which you might not even use. Do you know you can like swipe to delete and stuff with Samsung keyboard?
I did not.
Yeah, you can. You can use swipe gestures to like delete, double space to do a period, all that kind of like shortcuts. It's super fast. I personally find Samsung keyboard great, and I'm actually a convert because I espoused Gboard for years until about 3 years ago when I first like switched. It's actually when I switched from I used to cover general Android and like everything on YouTube. And then I switched to Samsung only about 3 years ago. Turned out to be a great decision financially because it's just more lucrative to cover only Samsung. That's one of the reasons I decided to do it. It was a conscious business decision. Also, I use a Samsung phone as my main device. And that's what people watch my videos the most. Like every time I made a Samsung video, I would notice like lots of views. When I made a video on something else, no views. So I was like, well, the views gods are telling me something. You should make Samsung content only. And so, I switched from Gboard to Samsung keyboard around the S25 Ultra, actually, because that's when I kind of transitioned to covering mostly Samsung. Someone's like, well, you can't use Gboard if you're going to be a Samsung guy. So I agreed. I was like, I should give Samsung keyboard a shot. Yeah. And it turns out it's actually better once you get used to it because it's not auto-correcting absolutely everything like Gboard. And overall, things like Grammarly is built into the Samsung keyboard. Like you can turn that on, and it will help you with your grammar. Like you can get suggestions, but it doesn't over-aggressively correct all of those things.
No, it just kind of gives you that blue line.
Exactly. And like Torrey said, now you also have the ability to get all of your GIFs, all your emojis, like all that stuff. You even got Emoji Kitchen. Have you ever used Emoji Kitchen?
Yeah.
Okay, Emoji Kitchen is very cool, right? That's one that Torrey's heard of. That's a cool feature. I made a video about that when it first came out. Mix up two emojis and kind of have a mashup of them is really cool. All that stuff is there. They have so many different features built in the keyboard. You can actually type with your S Pen, so you can write, and then it'll actually convert the S Pen to text. There's just so many cool features. And now with Galaxy AI, you can actually type something and get a summary of it or have AI do other stuff with it. You can use the voice to text. I find the voice to text to be really good on Samsung. Some people have said it's not as good, but I find it to be good. I still think the iPhone's a little bit ahead, as much as I hate to say that. They've always been really good, and that's mainly because their users are just really lazy. They don't want to type, and most of them probably don't know how to spell, let's be honest. So they're like, I'll just say it, and then, and maybe it will figure out how to spell it for me. Yeah. That's probably why, because the Apple users in general, aside from Tori's girlfriend, in case she listens to this, have an IQ of like -5. Aside from Tori's girlfriend. Yes, of course. But most other Apple users, that's why. So I find overall Gboard is good. If you want an overly aggressive autocorrect algorithm, then and you want it to do swipe to text very accurately, I guess it works pretty well. But at the end of the day, it would be nice if they would incorporate some of the features from Samsung Keyboard into Gboard and vice versa. And actually, this is what the guy here was talking about on Reddit. I was going to bring this up next, and I just reminded this comment because he said something really funny. He said, I really wish Samsung and Google would just finish the flirting and bang already.
Yes.
Get rid of the Samsung apps and such and bring the Google stuff. I disagree with that. What I would like them to do is to kind of mate and have a Google Samsung app baby, which has got all the best features of both.
Yeah.
Because as we talked about a couple times with, we talked about Samsung Notes versus Google Keep Notes and some of those various things. We'll probably talk about this more times in the podcast because it's a very popular topic, kind of, is Google or Samsung better for a particular app? They should put them together. They already did this once, and I doubt you even realized it. Samsung used to have its own sharing mechanism called Quick Share, and then Google had Nearby Share, and they just merged them together. And now Quick Share is the default on all Android devices. Google, Samsung came together, and now it works even better because they made it the de facto standard. It works with all Android devices, not just Samsung. Mm-hmm. And so now they basically have a standard that can almost rival Apple's AirDrop, which is one of the features that, iPhone users love to tell us how great they are all the time. Basically, you got the same thing on the Samsung phone now or your Android because Google and Samsung came together. I think when they come together, they can do some great stuff because Samsung has a high level of customization. Google definitely does some things well if you want aggressive autocorrect and all that stuff and good swipe typing. They could put them together and allow users to kind of fine tune how much autocorrect do you want, all these various things, and make a really great keyboard. Make a lot of other great apps too, but definitely make a great keyboard. Maybe at some point, since Torrey's never used Gboard, I'm trying to force Torrey to change how he uses everything on his phone.
For sure.
For the podcast. Maybe we can get him to use Gboard for a few days and then maybe give us his thoughts next week, or at least try using it a couple times.
I mean, we just downloaded it.
Yeah, he downloaded it. So we'll let him install it and compare it because he's obviously been using Samsung Keyboard for years, and he can kind of tell us, his true thoughts as a casual user. Because I obviously review it from the perspective of I hear all these complaints that people make, and I'm kind of cynical because I'm like, I love my Samsung Keyboard, and here's why it's great. But we'll get Torrey's thoughts and see kind of what he thinks about it. Before we move on to the app of the week in the Q&A, I want to remind you guys that if you haven't yet, make sure you go over to our early links sign-up page for Unpacked and get that text message with the early links on launch day. It'll be at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be up bright and early texting out the links. Also, if you're signed up for the newsletter, if you haven't yet signed up for the newsletter, we'll be sending out the links there as well. Super useful because the website's always crashing. And if you want to get your preferred color of the watch, the ring, the fold, the flip, all the stuff, the buds, you're going to want to be in there super early. And we'll have those links for you guys so you can get in there. I'll also be available via email and on Twitter to help you guys get your orders in. So if you're having a problem using our links out that we send, just send me a message. I can give you some troubleshooting tips, tricks. I did send out a full guide on kind of how to be successful on launch day this week with the newsletter. So if you're a newsletter subscriber, it's already in your inbox, and it tells you kind of some tricks, how you can use incognito windows sometimes to get around the website crash, how you can use Samsung's app instead of the website to place your order. There's a lot of things you can do that'll help you optimize your overall launch day experience. So definitely check that out. It'll be in the show notes if you want to sign up for the early links. So then transitioning into this, we talked about Good Lock earlier a little bit. The app of the week is Multistar. I chose this because it got an update this week that enabled some additional features, and I made a video on it. And I figured Torrey maybe had never seen it. So this is inside Good Lock. So again, if you are a user who doesn't know what Good Lock is, it is Samsung's suite of apps that they create for Galaxy phones that allows you to customize not only the UI of your device, but also customize the usability of your device in various ways. And one of the apps that they have that allows you to do this, which is a usability enhancement, is called Multistar. And so Multistar lets you do several things. And I'll talk a little bit about what I like to use. But Torrey, you went in and played around with it when I asked you to download it. Yep. Take a look. What did you think? Did you find anything useful? Anything you want to point out to people?
Yeah, so kind of like what I did once I figured out how to download this, and it actually kind of took me a little bit to get to it because I didn't know in there's a makeup side and a life up side once you get into Good Luck. So once I was able to get in there, I kind of just toggled everything on so I can kind of experience multi-star all the way. But I actually like it because I do a lot of things where like I find myself on one panel or app, and then I need to like kind of reference another. So I'm going like back and forth. I really like that I can kind of split my screen as a top and a bottom and be able to access some things, especially I play a lot of Pokemon TCG online. So it's really helpful for me to kind of go back and look at a deck list that I want to try. And so I'm not having to bounce out of the app to go to another and just kind of go back and forth. But I feel like this would be actually really good too, like on the tablet, or if I had the Fold with like a bigger screen, because I noticed you can have multi-window screens up going on. So so far it's really nice to have the balance of the two, but I feel like it'd be really nice if I had the tab.
Yeah, and also, did you notice that you can actually customize your Samsung DeX? Have you ever used Samsung DeX before?
No, so I actually had to look that up this morning because I had no understanding of iHeart Samsung DeX.
Yeah, Samsung DeX lets you run in basically a full like desktop operating system on your phone.
Yeah,
so basically you can connect your phone to like an external monitor, and it runs basically just like a Windows machine. I mean, it's not Windows, but it's basically Samsung. You can have full Windows open. You connect a keyboard and everything. That's a feature I feel like Samsung doesn't talk about enough, because Apple definitely doesn't have anything like that.
No,
they're never going to let you connect your iPhone and run Mac OS on your iPhone with a monitor, because that would make them lose sales on their Macs, and they want to sell more Macs and more iPads. So why would they do that? Like, people don't talk about Samsung DeX enough, but if you are someone who does not need certain apps, then you can run everything off your phone. If you just need word processing and the internet, you really don't need anything other than your phone and external monitor, because it can do anything you need, like in the cloud, or even with a lot of apps. Like, you can run Microsoft Office apps and stuff on your phone. So you can then run those in DeX and be good to go. What I like to use Multistar for, and I pointed out in my video this week, is at the very bottom, there's a thing called set pop-up gesture size. And so Torrey was talking about the multi-view where you have two apps open side by side. Pop-up view lets you basically do the following. If you have an app open, you can swipe from the top right corner here and it make it into a pop-up like this. And then you can collapse it into a pop-up down there, and it'll be a little thing. You can pop it back up anytime you want. And what Multistar lets you do is it lets you set kind of how wide you want this little top corner area to be, because the default is kind of small and sometimes it's really hard to trigger the gesture. So you can make this a little larger so that then when you swipe down, it doesn't, have a issue starting the pop-up window. So that's something I use it for a lot. The other thing that I use a lot inside Multistar, aside from that one, is on the tablet, which Torrey was talking about, is full screen and split screen view. That's a nice little feature to add as well. That's something that's built into the stock settings, but you can also kind of tweak that a little bit inside Multistar. Overall, Multistar has a lot of things that help you enhance the multitasking experience. Like Torrey said, the other one you can do is quick launch for multi-window, press and hold the recents key. This is if you use the 3-button nav. Do you use 3-button nav, Torrey? You do, right? Because I think I saw it, where you have the 3 buttons on the bottom of your phone. Yeah, for navigation. Yeah. I don't use that. Did you know that you have an option to change it?
No.
You can use gestures. You can use gestures only. So then when you swipe here to go back, instead of using the buttons.
What?
I think that's another thing that like a lot of people don't realize. Samsung doesn't advertise it really.
You only had to use those.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like sifting through looking for.
Yeah, I don't think with the S22 Ultra they yet told you that there was an option. I think maybe with the newest ones, like the S24, they might tell you now that there's an option. But with the S22, there wasn't like, you could do either one. It's like you're still using 3-button, and only if you know that you can use gesture nav, it's in the settings somewhere. So yeah, but you have an option to change that too. So
Samsung
I highly recommend
giving you more power.
Yeah, Samsung needs to advertise. The theme of today's show is Samsung needs to advertise a lot of their features better. And I think that's kind of a theme of this podcast in general. Was one of the reasons that made me want to start it with Torrey, is that I think a lot of enthusiasts don't realize that like their Samsung friends probably don't know a lot of the stuff they know. And so if you have a friend who uses Samsung and they're not a like hardcore hobbyist, go tell them some stuff. They might be really thankful. They could learn some cool stuff about their phone, because they probably never had a chance to really dig into it, particularly good lock and things like stock settings that you might change, like you think it's obvious, but they probably never heard of. Then, help out your friends. That's what we're all about here at the Sammy Google Podcast. Okay, so the final section here, the Q&A, 3 questions this week. One of them, or 2 of them, were brought up from last week discussion, the Q&A. The last one is just specifically about Phoenix in general. I guess I'll start with that one. It says, what do you do in Phoenix when it's 120 degrees outside? Well, today it's a cool 114 degrees, so, it's not too hot outside today. But typically I like to just stay inside and work for the most part. And when I'm at home on the weekends, I like to watch TV, play games with my kids, play video games on occasion. I just don't have as much time as I used to. We'll talk more about that, I guess, in a second. Go to movies. I still like to go occasionally if I can plan a babysitter out 6 months in advance. And I like to go play poker sometimes at the casino, although I very rarely have a chance to do that. I've went maybe once in the last 6 months, but I like to go play poker on occasion. That's also indoor activity. What do you like to do in Phoenix, Torrey?
Anything that has air conditioning, but honestly, mostly probably staying indoors, like probably staying at home, eating some ice cream or some popsicles, and probably taking a nap. Just waiting for the temperature to cool down a little bit.
We're just waiting around.
Yeah,
we're just eating cold stuff and waiting. That's all we do. We don't do any activities here.
No,
just sit inside, drink some cold drinks, and have some cold treats, and then you just sleep until it's like 9 o'clock at night.
And then you're like, all right, now I
know it's below 105 degrees now. We could go outside for a little while.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
that's what we do.
Get some fresh air.
Jumping off that question, someone else asked, do we consider ourselves gamers, either console or PC gamers? Last week, Torrey was talking about gaming in VR a little bit. I like to play games. I have a PlayStation, and I have an Xbox, and I have a Nintendo Switch. I play the Nintendo Switch more because my 4-year-old now likes it. So we play Pokemon and, Smash Brothers and stuff like that. I haven't had a chance to play my own games too much because I'm either working or playing with him. So, but I do like Tekken Tag Tournament on PlayStation, and I like a lot of the sports games. I'm definitely going to be playing in 2 weeks. I don't care what work I have. I'm going to cancel a day of work. The new NCAA football game is finally returning to PlayStation. We've been waiting years, like 15 years, and so I'm just going to cancel work, whatever day that is. I know it's 2 weeks away. I already pre-ordered that, and so that I will actually be playing that game because I love NCAA football. Like we said, me and Torrey are huge Alabama Crimson Tide fans. I'm going to take Alabama, and I'm going to win a dynasty with them, win a national title. I'll just do it in one day, and then I'll probably never play the game again because I'll have to go back to work and take care of my kids. But at least for one day, I'll get the $60 of value out. What about you, Torrey? What do you play? Any games? What kind of games do you play?
I'm kind of the same as Jeff. I have a PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S, just because I couldn't get the X when it released, and a Switch. So currently I'm playing, I like a lot of turn-based strategy games, but I'm playing Persona 3 remake reload that just recently came out. I know a lot of people are still playing that. I'm also finishing up Final Fantasy 16. And then I just recently pre-ordered, which I think a lot of people are probably still waiting on, is the new Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi game that is coming out, I think in October. So I'm probably going to take a day off from work so I can have 3 days that weekend to play it. But I also like to play Tekken and Street Fighter as well. So I'm kind of waiting to challenge Jeff here.
We should.
I gotta beat him with Yoshi.
Once we start doing the podcast live, we'll do like a Tekken. We'll live stream some Tekken battles or something.
Yeah, no, I got the fight sticks.
Put them on the channels. Do you really?
Yeah.
We should bring them. We'll have to do that one day. That'll be fun. So once we start doing the video, like I said too, people waiting on the video. First podcast in August, guaranteed to have video. So I think that's 4 weeks from today.
Yeah.
Whatever day that is, I can't count right now because I'm so tired from working on launch stuff. I think it's the 2nd of August. That'll be the day that we'll have some video. So we'll be starting the video that week. So you can look forward to seeing our faces. I don't know if that's good or bad, but you'll see them. You'll see them and you'll see stuff that we talk about starting on that day. The last one kind of is a question related, I guess, to what we talk about a lot in the software section today. What's our favorite Samsung app? I obviously have one because I cover Samsung all the time. I don't know if Torrey has one. Torrey, do you have a favorite Samsung app that you use, a stock app that you know about?
I mean, I really do like, well, yeah, I guess I should be honest. I really do like the health.
Oh, you use health? Yeah, I use it too. Tracking my
use it all the
watch.
time. Yeah, I even gotten better about like even putting in like how many glasses of water or like my calorie intake. They kind of give me a better look at my health, you know, as I get
I've been
older,
using that for
that.
while I've been taking the diet the last 6 weeks. I've been trying to put in my meals in there. It's supposed to get some new features too because the Galaxy Ring and stuff's coming out. I think there'll be it's going to get a revamp. So I use that a lot too, actually. That's an app I probably maybe use as much as any of the others. But in terms of favorite, I guess my favorite is probably Theme Park inside Good Lock because I use that to customize a lot of things. I mean, like I said, I use icon packs. I usually customize my quick settings quite a lot with Theme Park. Theme Park and Keys Cafe because I obviously trick out my keyboard with all the effects and stuff too that people have seen in the videos and customize like my button layout in the keyboard so I can make it faster. So those are very useful utility-wise, and I just like the icon packs. But Samsung Health is a good one. I think if you don't use Samsung Health, if you use something like Fitbit, you should try it if you're a Galaxy user because I think it is just as good, maybe better in some aspects. It definitely lets you track a lot of things, especially if you use the Samsung wearable. So if you're going to buy the Ring, you're going to get a new watch, or if you already have one, then it's definitely good to have Samsung Health because it kind of integrates with all your Samsung stuff, and it makes it easy to kind of log all your meals and water and sleep too, if you want to. I think that's pretty much it. Next week, July 12th, so the heat's just going to keep marking on, and we will be talking about everything Samsung Unpacked. So Torrey's going to try to get up and order that watch also on Wednesday. So maybe he'll briefly chime in on the event. I'll be watching the event and semi-live tweeting it, by which I mean I'm usually answering emails from you guys trying to help you get orders in and confirming mystery boxes. A lot of people ask why I don't live stream or live tweet. Well, it'd be really hard for me to live stream while also doing what I currently do because like confirming the mystery boxes and helping people get the orders placed, that's more than a full-time job. I have like hundreds of emails coming in, and it would not be great live stream because I'd just be me typing back to people. I mean, theoretically, I can answer people's questions in the live stream in a chat, but that's even harder than an email because at least in that way it's organized. With the chat, like everything's scrolling by, I would never see anyone's questions. So everyone keeps asking me to live stream during the events. I mean, I consider it at some point. It's just really hard considering how we do things with the mystery boxes for me to get them confirmed. Maybe at some point, if I have an extra person, if, maybe in the January launch or something, if Torrey or someone can man the chat or something, I'll think about it. For this launch, I'm not going to plan on it because live streaming is a lot of work. I've only done it one time and I want to do it more, but manning the chat, manning the video, making sure you're looking right and the cameras are good and just setting it up in the studio is kind of tough. But I will be up. I will be tweeting during the event. If anything amazing happens, that surprises us and shocks us, I'll definitely have some stuff to say about that. Any closing remarks, Torrey?
No, I just hope everybody's just... Oh, wait, we got to talk about...
Oh, that's right. Yes, Torrey forgot. He reminded me. I forgot. Torrey reminded me. We have I showed this off in a video that'll be coming out this weekend. We have the new cases that are going to go in the mystery boxes and the new cleaning kits that are going in the mystery boxes. So if you are going to be ordering through our links, definitely check the link in the show notes because I'll have the video where I showed off the case. The case for the Z Fold 6 is almost the same as the Z Fold 5. It's just a little shorter. The Z Fold 5 almost fits in it. It's just a little too tall. I tried it earlier. So not much different than what we were expecting there. It's pretty much exactly what we knew. But this 20-in-1 cleaning kit we have, I was showing it to Torrey before the show. The new cleaning kit has 20 different tools that's got like little brushes and different little things, cleaning solution, a microfiber cloth, some things that'll help you like get dirt out of your speaker grill. It's really cool. And for the first time, we kind of everything all in one little product. In the past, we've put like various different things in there, like something to clean your camera, microfiber cloth, but they weren't all in one thing. This is like in a nice little circular thing that you can pack up and you can store it and take it with you. It even has a thing you can like tether it to like a backpack at the top or something like that to keep it there. And the top of it comes off and the top is microfiber. So this can actually use to clean your phone there. And inside has a SIM tool as well. And the top is magnetic, so it stays on while it's in your travel bag. So that's pretty exciting. I actually had those there to remind me to talk about them. So thank you for the reminder, Torrey. Otherwise, I wish you guys a good week, and we will see you guys next week for episode number 4.